And we're here. It's been a long several months, long 4 months, wouldn't you say so, Rion?
Yeah, it certainly has been.
Yeah. Welcome to Genshin Ranked. This is the season final. We got two North American teams playing against each other today, and I am very, very excited to see how they will turn out. Both of these teams have demonstrated very appreciable growth ever since the inception of Genshin Ranked, and I'm very happy to be hosting both of them today. So,
Today on the field we have TSA and TST, which both of these teams you may already know from watching our previous matches. So TSA has won a game against our one and only EU team, CA, in the first round, and against ICT in our semifinals.
yeah. Both of these teams have had quite a bit of a road to get here, fighting some unusual opponents coming from both the Asia side and the NA side. Again, TST's fight has been against two different Asia teams, surprisingly, and still managed to come out on top. So this North American showdown here actually is going to be the finals, and I'm very excited to see where this is going to be ending up. Rion, what are your predictions for this match? As for me, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure... I think TST is going to be going for a... I think it's going to be a close match. I'm really looking forward to seeing a 4-3. TST's dominance throughout the entire tournament and throughout the entire season kind of indicates that we'll be getting their end of the bargain a little ahead. But I think in terms of TSA, I think they'll put up a very strong fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if they take it home either. Especially with the rosters that they have, both coming in from all four players on their teams. I think they're doing pretty great. I'm looking forward to see how this match is going to be playing out. But yeah, I mean, thank you everybody for being here. It's again, it's been a long season. I didn't expect it to last as long as it did, but I'm glad to see everybody's been willing to stick through with it. I really appreciate everybody being here. Our two refs on the field today, we have Ao Sarah for in the TST, the Sanest Travelers, and we have Wafer for the Sleeping Avengers. We're going to go ahead and get into draft here, and it looks like TST has already started. Wow. Both these teams opening with immediate back-to-back picks for their drafting. Looks at Ruined Serpent and Golem immediately back-to-back to each other. I think these are just their signature bosses, if I have to be honest. EFG being a great counter for Legatus Golem, so it does look like TST was prepared. The Sanest Travelers over there in pink, and the Sleeping Avengers over there in blue. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting draft to pick from. I wonder what the move is going to be here coming from TSA. TSA locking in Swanee. This must be a really interesting choice. It must be a almost like a Hydro counter, knowing that TST loves to run their Vape comps. Definitely would be a counter against some Yalans, against some Farina, and then there's the Weenut. Again, Rune Serpent, Weenut, some classic TST staples. And this draft is going by really, really fast. Both of these teams happen to really have dialed it in, really locked it in here because they know what's going on. And the Pyro Q block too, probably a Pyro counter coming in for TSA. Again, this draft is going by incredibly fast, especially considering that I think both teams were just waiting for this day to face off against each other. The Navi and the Lenny back-to-back, definitely a combination of one-trick carry powerhouses. But I don't see a Bennett ban coming from Team 2 at all. The Nahida definitely was supposed to be there against a Quicken team. But it's really interesting that TST decided to ban the Nahida, considering that their Quicken team is a stronger one. But again, I don't happen to see a Bennett ban at all. So, I don't know, Rion, what do you think? In any case, I wonder... Okay, there it is. There's the Bennett lock, finally. I'm really surprised that Popsicle took that long to hover Bennett, but... That looks to be the move, and the Arlecchino first pick is just a classic response to any bet. Interesting! Going for the Arlecchino Novelette. You would usually expect by now that Milani would actually take the field, but again, when you're seeing Arlecchino Nov, it's still a strong team comp. I'm hoping to see some sort of Swirl or some sort of Shredder coming in. And there's Ganyu. Ganyu doing some incredible, fantastic work. And Milani as well. Bennett Milani isn't really the strongest synergy, but I do think that his on-field pyro application is going to be exceptionally useful. So I do look forward to seeing that. Ayaka is picked and Kazuha instantly banned by the Sleeping Avengers. I'm wondering what the play was there. Not really one to see Ayaka get picked this early in the draft, but I do have a hunch that Ayaka pick was definitely for Swanee over there. And again, the early Kazuha ban following up really messes with TSA's draft a little bit, but they insta-lock Zhongli anyways. So again, what I'm seeing right here, they're going for a lot of checks. They went for a Geo check, they went for a Cryo check, and Ayaka Zhongli definitely fill those niches. And again, I think TST just has to respond to this. Not exactly sure what the Sanest Travelers have in mind, but again, they lock in Ningguang! Ningguang pick! Surely this isn't selling, but they instantly lock Ningguang Xiangling. So it does look like they're cooking something right here. I believe Xiangling might be the play, especially considering that it's going to be Bennett on field. So that might make sense, but the Ningguang, surely to counter Golem, that's definitely an unusual tactic, and I have yet to see it work, but they do have Bennett on field right there to try and help. And there it is, the Sleeping Avengers' infamous C2 Chiori, C2 R1 Chiori from Lurkin Death, and follows up with Xingqiu. So again, this is just like overall a very incredible draft to be starting with. And it does look like we're going to be starting the match here, ladies and gentlemen, as both teams are going to go ahead and get ready. I mean, what are you thinking? Or what are we expecting here?
Well, TSA did exclusively draft boss checks, so I do think that TSA will manage to win Golem for sure, since they do have that Chiori Zhongli combo, which is incredibly strong for a Geo check like Golem.
Yeah, absolutely. I am still waiting to see. Yeah. Looks like we have the roster updated right there. Drake and Rune Serpent. I mean, like, Rune Serpent and Weenut are just classic TST plays. So again, I just wouldn't be surprised if they absolutely dominate this. Let's see what else they've decided to come up with, though. I mean, the Swanee pick, definitely. I think Swanee Golem is the right move coming from TSA. I think this entire roster that TSA has provided, I know draft went by super fast, but I think this was just the right move. I think this was just the most optimal outcome, all things considered.
I don't know if TSA will win Swanee though, because while they do have Ayaka, TST does have that Bennett Ganyu combo, which is extremely strong for a boss like Swanee.
Yeah, but at the same time though, I mean, maybe Ayaka Arlecchino is cooking. Although I do question TSA's comp, especially considering that they don't have a Shredder. So that's going to be one thing that I am, in fact, very, very concerned about. And I'm not exactly sure if they're going to be able to be up to it.
I do think that TSA will be able to take Pyrocube, though, since they do have Nuvula and Kokomi, while TST is stuck with just Xingqiu and Mualani. And Mualani's Hydro application is notoriously terrible.
Alright, Wafer looks like he's already set up right now, and we're still waiting for TST to get their energy. But it looks like they do want to open with a double Geo comp with Arlecchino. So I'm going to be very interested in how this plays out. I think you're going to get a lot of Crystallize off. I forgot what constellation Inky's Zhongli is, but...
I believe Inky's Zhongli is C2, so that will be very nice for survivability. They have played this comp once in the past, I remember. Day's Arlecchino is C1, which is very strong. Arlecchino C1 is probably like about equal, if not a little bit worse, than C0R1, which is the best Arlecchino for Genshin Rank.
Absolutely. And I will definitely say that for a DPS check, I think Arlecchino absolutely stomps when it comes to Drake. I think right now she is probably BIS when it comes to straight DPS alone. So, again, just really looking forward to see what these guys have on field right now. But it looks like as the boards fill out, again, looks like Lurkin on Chiori Neuvillette, Day on Arlecchino Kokomi, and Inky on Zhongli Ayaka. It looks like their comp is subtle. It looks like they're running a Mono Geo, or not Mono Geo, but the Pyro Geo and Mono Hydro comp together. Could be something. I'm not exactly sure, but here we go anyways. The timer starts now, coming up for Drake. And there's only opening with ults, trying to get that geo damage nice and ready in there. That is a C2 Zhongli, chat. We are currently being protected by the geo shield, and look at that shred damage. Easy opener coming in for TSA. Day gets a little staggered, but finds her footing really easily. Gets that nice pyro damage out on field. And with that geo resonance, with that shred, it does look like Arlecchino's going to be taking this to the bank. But at the same time here, as they're trying to cash out their damage, Chiori actually putting out some strong 30s as well. Best that she can for a mono team as we're coming up close to the end right here. Coming on a good 36.52. So again, not the fastest, not a bad time, not the fastest time, but considering what the draft was, considering that this is again a Chiori team with Arlecchino, I think they've got something. I think they'll be able to work it. They'll be able to work with something here. So
unfortunately, the next boss being Ruin Serpent does mess up Arlecchino's bond significantly. So you'll notice that Arlecchino did use 2 full rotations on the Drake, which means that she did have a little bit of bond left over, but unfortunately she won't be able to use any of it on this next fight.
Absolutely agree. And here we go. Again, we're gonna watch this beautiful Bennett team. This is just a classic melt, if I have to be honest, you know. C1 Ganyu, the way she is, starting off with that melt, and there's a pyro app. Look at that Bennett positioning. Decides to stay all the way in front, and this gives Ganyu space. Look at how much distance Ganyu has to the target, making sure that she lands those melts. Beautiful 100-something Ks.
Ooh.
Absolutely fantastic.
123k bloom I saw. That's impressive.
Yeah, and again, when you have Xiangling driving for you, you have Bennett driving for you. That's just so much pyro on field that as Ganyu, you're throwing 6-digit numbers consistently. And it just looks like that clear time is going to be so fast. The only thing that would really stop Ganyu is if she gets staggered, but Putin plays safe and they take it home. 31-13 for TST, and it does look like they will be in the lead. 1-0. And they're just about to begin Ruin Serpent on the other side for Team 2. Again, now they have to make up for a little bit of a deficit, but all things considered, it should still be within reach for them. Ruin Serpent still being a very fair time, still being very contestable. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried for this team though, because their damage, Arlecchino's damage at least, is going to be limited by her 5-second setup, and Chiori also doesn't have burst. I assume that the Zhongli is running Favonius, but Chiori's burst is a huge part of activating her C2, which is most of her damage.
Yeah, and that might cost them, but at the same time, I think there's going to be a way for them to play around this. Maybe they use Ruin Serpent just as a little bit of a farming station. Hopefully they'll be able to get a little bit of an ult up for Chiori by the end of it. Because as long as Chiori opens with ult later in the half, I think they'll be able to definitely regain some of the rounds. Now here we go, as we are onto Ruin Serpent. Yep, here it goes. And there's a bit of a geo damage. Honestly, it looks like they're still struggling a little bit with the setup. Again, Arlecchino not really going to pull the bond off just yet. Has to let it cook a little bit. And there she goes, yanks it, gets a little bit of 100k damage actually. So it looks like Day's doing her work. Beautiful ult coming in from Minky Frost. Actually happens to hit it right as it goes down. And here we go. Here's the little bit of the rush now. Everybody's feeling it. And Ruin Serpent definitely feeling that Chiori ult as Lurkin starts hitting 73k E's on Chiori. Absolutely fantastic work. But as it resurfaces again, here it is, the team doing their best to hit the numbers that they absolutely wanted to get during this draft. 45-97, but as the Melt Ganyu team shows, I think they're going to be catching up. I think even with the pace of everything, that early Bennett ult coming in from Kyo, sorry, definitely seeming to ground TST on Ruin Serpent. And that Ganyu Bloom, 100k coming from Putin C1. Absolutely decimating the boss. A 32.56 coming in from TST. And it does look like TST is going to be taking the lead 2-0.
Yes. There were a lot of non-crits on TSA's side. I wonder if that was just unluckiness or if Lurkin is running a particularly low crit rate build.
I feel like it could be a combination of both. I mean, you know, with the way Genshin ranked is, sometimes you do feel that need to sacrifice your rate just so you can hit those breakpoints, but I'm not sure what the exact build was, but take a look. 75-178.
Ooh, but running it is Peak Patrol
the
song,
new weapon.
Specifically to buff Arlecchino's damage.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think running Peak Patrol Chiori, or Paw Patrol as we love to call it, but I think it's honestly a good weapon. It's a good piece of kit that's suitable for any team. So again, I'm really just happy to see that Chiori is putting out the support that it can, and even allowing the C2 Paw Patrol Chiori through. I wonder if that was going to be the mistake that cost TST. But anyways, here's where TSA should shine. Right now we see TST struggling a little bit. They're using Ningguang, trying to break down Golem, but again, I don't know how much those Star Shatter Shades are really going to do. Putin struggling to try and get shots through. Actually misses one. Again, Bennett's going to have to just grab ult and just hope that next rotation they'll be able to do something about it. I'm not seeing a lot of straight damage right now coming in from TST, but there's the knockdown.
They are able to break the shield. The pyro application is not there, however, since Bennett does not have his ult, but there it is.
Yeah, and just in time too. Again, Ganyu's not melting some weird numbers. I'm interested as to why that's hitting 69 and then 57. But oh, there's the 100k.
It's not melting. It's not melting because of Ningguang's Geo application. Unfortunately, she was stealing the pyro aura.
Yeah, and there's the Legatus Golemtine right there. And now onto the side with the Geo team. Of course, Zhongli doing his absolute best to break shields. What a man. But notice, I don't know if I see that pillar down, though. I know they did try to hold E on it, but I don't think they got it in the right position, in the right place, even though they do manage to knock down that shield coming in around 23, 24 seconds. So that's going to be a little bit of a time loss, but I think they still have an opportunity to win this. 45 seconds on the clock, or 15 seconds remaining, rather, because now TSA coming in at 35 seconds. They might be able to win this, and I think they eke it out. Yes, they do. 38-62. And it does look like it's not going to be a sweep after all. Again, so now we're moving on to the experimental field generator. This was one of the Sanest Travelers picks. I think this was ultimately a really great decision, because if you think about the fact that one team loves playing Geo, you gotta throw in an anti-Geo boss, right? And EFG with that Geo res, such a monster to deal with. But I wonder if the Zhongli's really gonna help out a little bit and kind of cut down a bit of that res. Minus 20%, you know. Surely the big man's got something in him.
Perhaps on TSA's side, they'll end up pulling out the Nouvelette for this boss. I think he would be a much better option than Chiori. For TST though, I am a little bit worried about their health, because Xiangling and Ganyu are both very squishy characters. If they do let the EFG enter its phase where it just starts nuking everyone, they get one shot.
Yeah. Again, a little bit of boss knowledge, a little bit of game knowledge coming together. And here we go as TST decide to enter the arena. Bennett, again, throwing an early ult. I really like this Bennett's positioning. Definitely keeping the Ganyu in the right place at the right time. Bennett almost going down. We went into a little bit of red HP right there. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think as long as everybody knows to play safe. Putin, playing a little aggressive, throws the Ganyu ult and decides to walk in. But here we go into the next phase. Are they going to all in? Yes, they are. This is TST. They play aggressive. They want their wins. They get their wins. And in this case, it looks like Putin goes down, unfortunately, playing a little too hot. But it doesn't matter. Q and Popsicle clutching up the match. And that's going to be a 30-53 on Experimental Field Generator for TST.
Thankfully, Ganyu is not a particularly ult-reliant character, and she's able to heal back up with Bennett. So that's pretty nice.
Absolutely. And here we go. Now watching the Sleeping Avengers. I wonder what they're going to be able to do. I think this could be the comeback move. Again, having lost a little bit of time, surely the Zhongli Shred will be enough. But here we go. Anyways, Day launches onto the field, throwing the Bond out. Not going for any Bond steal just yet. But it is March, and there it is. Now Arlecchino's hot. And now here we are.
This could be a boss they use to stack Arlecchino's Bond for the next boss, Swanee.
Yeah, I'm starting to see it as well. I do see that they are playing a little safer. They're not going for the all-in. I think they are going to sack this boss. Especially after that 30-59. I don't really know if there's much of a way that they're going to be coming back from it. But again, 3-1. I still think the game's playable for sure. I don't think it's a complete sweep just yet. But they call for a DNF. They force a DNF, actually. 31-99, choosing not to actually fight the boss at all. And again, building Bond, building ults. I think there's a strategy here, and it's going to come in on Swanee. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to play out. Because on the other side,
Ooh, Bennett on Swanee does run the extreme risk of getting one shot by any of its hydro attacks.
absolutely.
So TST will have to watch out for that.
Yeah, and between Ganyu and Bennett together, if both of them go down, it's going to be Popsicle soloing on Xiangling. So I'd be really curious to see if he's going to take the risk and all in that if he can. But I don't know. They just have to not get hit by that first attack. But this boss always carries the risk of a team wipe. And that's my favorite part about it.
Both of our teams do have a cryo for this boss, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, and there we go. Putin stacking the crits. On the other hand, Aosera has already decided to start. Interesting choice of position, but it does look like Inky Frost doesn't line up the cryo correctly from this angle, and that's going to be really unfortunate, but it doesn't matter. Aika E exists, and on the other side, you already got Popsicle going down, so they're missing a little bit of pyro right now. Putin looking a little confused, but still manages to find his shots. Bennett trying to find some sort of E, trying to find some sort of energy. There's the melt, and they're going to go for a break right now. Both teams fighting side by side, but it does look like TSA managing to knock it down at 36. At the same time, TST has not. So their plan has worked.
Ooh.
Xiangling is down. There is no ult for her. And this does mean that it's going to be a 3-2 match.
It's getting kind of close here, especially since I do think that TSA will win Pyrocube unless something goes incredibly wrong. So it all comes down to Weena to see which team's gonna have the advantage.
Absolutely. And remember, both teams are only going to have a minute to decide on their actual retry before starting the next boss. So in that regard, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting play, but beautiful work coming in from the Sleeping Avengers on that Swanee. Again, just didn't expect the Chiori, Arlecchino, and Ayaka to really function as well as it did, but hey, it actually turned out to be pretty efficient. And it definitely...
What is the Ayaka build? Can Beth get a quick check?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at Inky's Ayaka, because that thing is, that's definitely kicking hard. And,
Yep.
for sure. It's interesting, though, because now TST is starting with... They have 2 deaths already. And the score is getting pretty close, and I think it's a little closer for comfort than they would like. TST is going to be fighting over Pyrocube as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it looks like that Ayaka was a C3 Anemonia? I don't know how to say that weapon's name.
Aminoma?
The Inazuma craftable, guys.
Yeah. Again, not the craziest build, because we do have to downtune a few characters, especially when they get to the higher levels, but still think that a C2 with any good weapon is pretty nice. And seeing a Aminoma Kageuchi definitely is beautiful for dealing some damage on Ayaka. It's kind of like the default sword,
like,
you know?
It is. I used to run it on Kuching, you know? It does look like Day has a lot of bond going into Weena, which will be very nice for TSA. They'll be able to front load a lot of their damage.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think having that bond, having access to that early damage is going to be what really wins them Weena here. And again, they have Zhongli, so it is still possible for them. Unless, here we go. Looks like Xiangling goes for a plunge attack. I don't think that really worked out in her favor, but Ganyu's missing crits and missing melts, so this is already not the perfect start, but 100k coming from Kyuden, so that's not nothing at all. And still, side by side, I think both teams are actually going at it quite well. It is a little bit of a close race. I will say, though, it does look like TSA's ahead. I do see that Novelette damage is getting very practical right now. That mobility on Novelette as well is going to be what gives them the advantage. Especially when you consider that TST is struggling, they're looking a little lost, and these Putin shots are just not melting the way that they need to. Meanwhile, Weena's already dead coming in for TSA. And it looks like with these two teams, looks like the result has already been decided. It's going to be a 3-3 tied match. And this is why we have finals, chat. This is why it matters. Every crit matters. Every substat, it all comes down to the milliseconds. And right now, we're seeing that TSA is holding a tie match against an undefeated team in the league. In the World Finals. I wonder if they're going to start faltering, though. Both teams, a lot on the line. It all comes down to how well they fare on Pyrocube next to determine who's going to have the advantage going into overtime. Remember, guys, the procedure for overtime is going to be that the team that's on the losing end is going to go first. Because if they can win their match, then it's going to be up to the last team. The team that had the advantage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
I
just
think that
Go ahead.
Mulan should be able to two-shot the Pyro Cube, but their break is going to be significantly worse than TSA's, since TSA does have that Nouvellette Kokomi.
I agree. This is a really incredible comp for breaking. I mean, you have Nouvellette's mobility, combine it with Kokomi E and Kokomi autos, and just to throw in a splash, you got Ayaka. That C3 Amanoma Ayaka is just the cherry on top for this comp, and it's really interesting to see how well it's going to turn out. But again, I am in fact very excited to see what happens here. So here we go. And the break isn't good. Again, Xingqiu might go for some ults here. Puden kind of just throwing his autos wherever he can, but they're not timed well. Everybody taking a little bit of splash damage. Xingqiu taking it down to half health. Remember, this team does not have a healer. So if in any event things go wrong, unless they run prototype Amber Ningguang, my bad, sorry, I discounted that. But on the other side, look at this. They got poor RNG here, but Lurkin with that Nouvellette, with that mobility, everybody kind of collapsing on that Pyro Cube, just definitely gives them the time they need. And TSA 300k hits to take down Pyro Cube in 35 seconds. So meanwhile,
TST.
can TST do it? Or sorry, TST does it, a 300k hit. But I don't know if TSA can do it in the same amount of time. I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
TSA got a lot more unlucky with the opening RNG, since they did get the rolling attack, which is quite unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's not within
Finished off at 42.
Oh man, that's not even within a VAR range. How unfortunate. That chance on the RNG, that roll of the dice when it came to Pyro Cube, ultimately has now set TSA back, and now the match is 3-4 in their favor. So, with 1 minute on the clock, they have to decide what their retry is going to be. I don't know, if you're a TSA in this moment, what are you looking at on the board? I say I'm running the cube again.
Yeah, that Pyro Cube RNG was really, really unfortunate. Although, I do think that running the cube again does have some risk, because what if it just does the same thing, you know?
But then what else would they be winning is the question, I guess. I mean, you're looking at...
I don't really know.
You're looking at a Ruined Serpent, which is kind of unbeatable, the Drake, which is a 5-second loss, and then EFG, 30 seconds. I don't think anything's beating that. I think you just have to run Pyro Cube again. I think this match is ultimately going to be decided by Pyro Cube right now. And I wonder what the Sanest Travelers have decided to lock as well. This is just such a much closer match than I ever anticipated it to be. And I'm really glad to be here for it. I mean, this is actually incredible. I think we selected the 2 best teams for finalists, imaginable, and it's beautiful watching it all unfold. And they did lock Pyro Cube, so it does look like they're gonna go ahead and restart their energy and go ahead and run it again. On the other side,
I wonder if they'll try to use Ayaka ult for break in the beginning, because if Ayaka is able to get her ult back fast enough, then it could be a good move.
It could be. At the same time though, it looks like TST wants to try their hand again at Swanee. I think TST is of the belief that Swanee is going to be in their favor, regardless of what happens. But first, we're going to let TST take a little bit of a break here, as the Sleeping Avengers TSA decide to get back on field. Man, it's confusing. They have a lot of names. It's like TSA, TST.
They have really similar names. It's so annoying to say.
Yeah, I am strongly against using the word "the" when it comes to team names, but I mean, go figure. And now I'm really curious.
Ref is getting into position.
Yep.
And it's time to see how well this Nouvellette Kokomi Ayaka does a second time.
I agree. I think it's gonna do well. I think if the ball rolls in their favor, or sorry, if it doesn't roll in their favor, rather, I think they'll have some serious wins. And here we go.
Unfortunately,
oh no, it started again.
No,
this is not optimal. This is not the move that TSA wants, but Lurkin decides to use his ultimate for it anyways. Get some source water droplets up, and hopefully the extra hydro is going to help cancel out all the pyro on field. Inky taking nearly lethal damage going to the red there, but it doesn't look like it's going to stop her. And it goes into a bold charge attack. This is good. This is good. Here's the setup right now. If only everything lines up just the right way. Inky throws an early Ica ult across the field to try and land it. But I don't know if that's enough. It isn't enough. It's not fast enough. And it doesn't look like TSA is taking it home at all. It looks like TST is going to be winning the Genshin Ranked World Finals. And this is a match. This is where they're going to have to close it out. I wonder if they're going to play it at all. Novelet looking on field, defeated out at the rest of the match.
Novelet has left the world.
An unfortunate series of events as Kokomi and Iga trying to close it out. The last two remaining together. As the two Inazuma girls, right where it all started, right where it all began, ultimately choosing not to end the match, and they ultimately decide to DNF 75 seconds in. Truly an incredible story arc. I am absolutely astounded. That was quite the match to witness.
I'm quite surprised at how close TSA came to winning that. That bond stack on Swanee for Weena really, really helped them.
This was by far one of the best matches to watch for Genshin Ranked. I cannot further emphasize how incredible it was to see the players at this level of play not only run their draft, but run their match as well. This was absolutely incredible to watch, and I'd do it again if I could. Honestly, this was I don't know, Rion, any words?
I don't know. I think you said all that needs to be have been said.
Yeah.
What did I just say? This really was a great match to watch.
Yeah. The blue flag's gonna go up because it is the Sanest Travelers who do win, and they do take it home. I think that match could have came down to a VAR, honestly, but again, that Milani hit from Kyo, 300k damage to absolutely knock out Pyrocube. I think
Imagine if it didn't crit.
If it didn't crit, or if there was no Milani, oh man, that could have been the match. But again, I think TSA was right about the moves. I think the break was in the right play. I think everything was, they played as perfectly as they can, and it just came to those last milliseconds.
Yeah, if they had gotten just a little luckier on Pyrocube, then we could have seen TST's retry.
Okay, hi guys. I did absolutely nothing for my team and we still won.
Hi, so A player, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are from the Sanest Travelers, correct?
Yes, I am.
I see. Welcome. A player, what was your opinion on the match that you and your team has just played?
I think we played a really good match overall. We had a few times where we messed up our positioning and died, but otherwise we had a good team. We had a better draft overall, and I think we just outperformed on the DPS checks where it mattered the most.
Absolutely agree. And I think it wasn't like a super far draft either. I think Lurkin, you definitely had some ideas that you were cooking right there, and a lot of them came to fruition. I will say you got 3 wins off of a lot of positioning, off of a lot of kills from the boss draft. So what was your mentality going into that? All right, back to you, Popsicle. So how was your draft?
Hi, yes, so definitely think the match was really close overall.
Well, it looks like it's just us and A player here. What a lonely existence.
Oh wait, no, Popsicle's here.
Oh, am I not talking? Yeah.
Popsicle's here?
Yeah, you can hear Popsicle.
Hi.
Yeah.
Definitely a very dangerous play. Bennett, I never realized that Bennett was such a sort of risky character with his innate pyro aura on certain bosses. But yeah, we definitely were dying a lot, even more in practice than in this real game. And
yeah, I was going to say.
I definitely think that TSA drafted very well, denying pretty much all the Bennett options, so we had to go with Xiangling near the end. Of course, Xiangling is a pretty good character with Bennett, but she's very squishy, so.
Yeah, I would say you guys went for very DPS intensive, very squishy comps. Did you guys practice a lot of that positioning? Because I noticed the Bennett Ganyu in the right place at the right time was really what made the difference.
Yeah, especially on our retry, although it didn't matter, on retry on Swanee, like the 90-degree positioning, everything was pretty much planned out.
Yeah,
Had
I
to
was
go
gonna
next.
say that was because I personally I am a Bennett player, so I do understand what it's like when my whole team gets vaped because of where I put my ult. So I think it is one of those very small things that you might just overlook, but then again, it's like when you make it work, it works, and I think it absolutely delivered. Definitely helped out Putin for sure.
I agree. It's basically protect the Ganyu the entire game.
Yeah, and it allowed him to get like these really nice aggressive ults too, because I remember like where he was, he has like a really nice range on his Ganyu ult, but it helps a lot too when you're not getting, you know, one shot or not constantly having to dodge or staggered because of your Bennett's position.
Absolutely.
So I just realized I input a 1 second pyro cube instead of a 1 minute pyro cube. That is my fault. I can't believe I posted that with the full scoreboard. Okay,
It's
chat.
definitely a closer game overall than I expected though. But if I didn't die on Swanee, it would have been just straight up 5-2. But yeah, I had to die the first time.
I think it really could have came down to just a tie, but I think again when you pick hypostases, they are a roll of the dice, and as much as I hate saying it, it is RNG when you pick those bosses. It's just a matter of time before it doesn't go the way you want it to, and it's so unfortunate that that happened twice to the Sleeping Avengers. I think
agree,
everybody
yeah,
on I think they played their heart out. First of all, I don't think they played anything wrong. If you watch
the draft
the way they
Pyrocube specifically was also very good.
yeah, I think it's a good
actually
vape counter. Yeah.
We actually tested out both teams, theirs and ours, and we concluded that if both teams has good RNG, then they would actually win. But if they get bad RNG, then we will win no matter what because of Kokomi's circular sort of hydro application.
Yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out, and again, this is everybody that has helped us with this production so far. So I do want to say that everybody here has had a major impact on the development of not only Genshin Ranked, but also on the development of Genshin Impact as a whole. I think we're definitely looking towards a new future right now, the way the game is playing. And I'm really looking forward to see what happens next. Especially, you know, when just $5,000 on the line. Okay, just not actually $5,000. There's $1,400 on the line. So, tune back in next month, next year. You'll see a little bit of something get cooked up. I'm really excited to see what the higher stakes are gonna bring. It's gonna be a lot of interesting matches. We'll be opening this tournament out to a lot more people. So, yeah. The sponsorships so far are here. It's just a matter of time how we want to use them. So, I think the way Ranked is going, we're going to keep this quality of content. I'm really glad that everybody has been so supportive of how we're running our show and how everything looks. And I'm really just looking forward to what happens next. So, yeah. Any closing words, Rion, Popsicle, anything?
I'm just glad that my team was able to pull away with the win. It's definitely very nervous after the death on Swanee because I knew it was going to be a 4-3.
Yeah, it ended up, again, being a lot closer than I think you would have wanted, but that's wraps, folks. Thanks for watching.